Welcome to the Fanatical Elfz Show, part of the Elfz Network. We are a bunch of wild and crazy Cleveland Browns fans, bringing you all the latest in Browns news. Tune in now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fanatical Elfz. It's Thursday night, and we're a bunch of wild and crazy Browns fans. Thank you for joining us here on part of Fans First Sports Network. You see me, you see Steve, you see Lou, and you see Sam. Welcome, guys. How are you doing on this glorious Thursday evening? You can all speak at the same time.
Oh, sure. Fine. Doing great.
Well, we're doing great. I mean, anyway, I would do it.
Yeah, got the getting to see football. Like the official start of the season's tonight. The Hall of Fame game is going on right now, and none of the starters are playing.
Now, the kickoff, the only thing I thought weird about it was everybody's staying still until the guy caught the ball in the landing zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and then everybody moved.
I feel bad that I missed that.
I kind of like it.
It's kind of weird because it looks like if that you could get a big return if you break past that first wave, that first line.
Yeah.
So
you're going to see a lot of defensive players on the kickoff teams.
Yeah, shedding blocks and getting to the tackle. Oh. Yeah.
Well, I want to welcome you aboard here, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to us on Apple and on Spotify. And again, this is our Thursday show that we bring to you. These guys do great things every week, bring you great shows, great content. We are gearing up for the Browns season. Like Lou said, it's the kickoff tonight of the Hall of Fame game out there in Canton. I know I'm down here in Columbus. Lou, you're up in Cleveland. Sam, you're out there out in the Texas. And Steve, you're down there in Nashville, Tennessee. So, we got a lot to talk about. Browns are in the news with a lot of different issues that are going on or topics. And we want to hit that running. I do want to let everybody know, if you're watching, we are going to give away something. I know I saw Lou, your friend Sherry, who also works for Northeast Sports Insiders, that writes like I do for them. She wanted one of these hats. So you have seen these. They're Jarrell Flint's dog food radio programs gives out these awesome, dazzling hats here, and we've got a few to give away. We got one to give away. So if you win, you can have your choice. You can have the brown one or you can have the orange one. So we'll announce that after the break. Look forward to giving that away to one of you. You have to follow the show on and follow us on X, the Fanatical Elfz Network. So if you are watching or if you're on Facebook, follow us on the X if you can. So let me just start with this. The Brownies in the news this week or today. The city of Cleveland came out with a proposal to the Brownies and to the Haslams about the stadium. And I'm not going to go through the whole spiel, but basically there were things that they want to provide to the Browns, including millions of dollars. And to keep the stadium there and to do some things with the Muni lot and some other stuff. In response to that, the Haslams came out with a statement later in the afternoon saying that they would review everything. So there you have it. But in that review and in that response, the Haslams did again reiterate that they were going to be evaluating everything, including the Dome Stadium, potentially in Brook Park. So that's where we're at with that. Lou, let's start with you and then go down to Steve and then finish with Sam. So Lou, where are you at with what you saw today? How do you feel about everything? I know we talked a little bit about this off air.
Yeah. Well, there was a quote from Daryl Ryder of 92.3 The Fan. Now, I'm not sure how accurate the information he has is, but according to him, he's spoken to architects from the original Cleveland Browns Stadium, 1999 people that wrote it and said that the current foundation on that stadium doesn't have 30 years left in it. So it's almost like it's from what I'm understanding, what the city offered was kind of like a day late and a dollar short, from what I understand, because it doesn't accommodate what the Browns are trying to do.
Yep.
it's just I think we should all be ready to hear soon that there will be a dome stadium in Brook Park 5 years from now, which will be 2029, August of 2029. So I think that's what's going to happen between now and then. And I think I was anticipating by the end of the year we'd have an announcement, but it might be sooner than that because the city might be throwing their hands up after this, saying, "Okay, go,"
Right. Cool. Steve, your take similar?
Okay, so the mayor issued this nice little offer to the Haslam, which basically says, hey, here's a bunch of stuff that your average citizen will think is a lot of stuff for you to take to keep the stadium here in Cleveland. And then the Haslams came back, gee, thanks for the offer. We're already digging a hole in Brook Park. There you go. That's it.
They're going to have the shovel ceremony and everything.
No, they're already digging a hole down there in Brook Park. That stadium.
I live on the east side, so I don't know. I wouldn't know.
That stadium was built too quickly. It's already fallen apart.
Yeah.
Just to keep that thing open until the new dome stadium comes in is probably going to cost about, I don't know, $1-2 billion just to keep the damn thing from rolling off into the lake. It was never designed structurally to hold a dome, and everyone knows that. The city has known that for 10 years.
Yeah.
So forget about it. It's going to Brook Park. Enjoy the subway.
You know, one of the things that I find while you were talking, Steve, I was reflecting. I know, Lou, you and I have talked about this quite a bit too with the stadium, because we both have been going there for years, and the age and what you're talking about. And I was just recalling last year, and maybe other Browns fans that are listening tonight or watching, if you were sitting in the upper deck, and Lou, I know you have season tickets up in the upper deck as well. There were several establishments or concession areas that were not open in week one. I don't know if you remember that. In the season opening game last year, I forget who we played, maybe the Bengals,
Cincinnati
Bengals. There were, including, I want to say, the B spot, where my seats are, with the famous B spot burgers and whatnot. I think they were closed that first week of the season, and I just thought, what's going on here? That doesn't make sense to me. You prep all year long, right? Don't you prepare like big stadiums? So where I don't know who's at fault for that, but I was just thinking of all these things and how it really hasn't been kept up that well. There's not enough of this. There's not enough of that. Like restrooms. I mean, upper deck restrooms. I mean, it's not much different than it used to be at the old municipal stadium. So,
Daniel Red, thank you, Daniel.
Sam, where did you see all the news today about that? And do you like the idea? What's your preference? You brought this up before. Where do you sit with this?
A dome is most likely. I think a dome is what everyone wants. I think a dome is the kind of new fad that everyone wants to have, a new dome or a half open, half dome stadium. Like, I think the Browns would have a lot of fun if they built a SoFi Stadium type place where you still get that freezing cold Cleveland weather, which I think is actually very important, but you don't get snowed on. But I do think a dome is what's going to happen. I don't think the Browns are looking to create anything other than a dome. And it sucks because, or it doesn't suck for the dome, but it sucks that we can't have a stadium. We can't keep our normal stadium on the river, which is, it's hard to build on rivers because they wind and they erode, and it's difficult to build a permanent establishment on a river. But I think we're definitely looking to a dome. I think most cold Broncos, Seattle, Kansas City. I think Kansas City might keep. I think Seattle has a new stadium, but I think a lot of teams are going to be looking towards a dome right now.
Yeah. Seattle's got a new. They're not going to do anything.
Chicago.
Chicago. I think Carolina.
Chicago, Buffalo, here in
Nashville.
They're Nashville, but they're moving it away from the river. They're moving it on the other side of the parking lot.
What about Jacksonville? I heard about Jacksonville too.
Oh, I can't imagine. Yeah, I think they are going to get a new stadium. Problem is Kansas City, the citizens of Kansas City won't vote to raise the taxes to build the stadium. So,
Okay, let's cover a couple of other things that happened this week, and I know today specifically also with the Browns at training camp. Deonto Foreman, the running back,
Dante
Foreman,
Dante Foreman
had a scare, had a collision of some sort. They for medical or safety, they checked him. They was put on a helicopter and flown to a hospital. Locally there in the West Virginia where they were, the Greenbrier. From all reports, he's going to be okay, and he's going to rejoin the team eventually. Now, I guess
There's
tomorrow
no
is
better
the
way.
first.
They couldn't have got him out any other way than a helicopter.
Yeah,
Or
we thought because that was the safest way to do it to get him to the nearest hospital.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It just seems a little. I know it wasn't, but it just feels like an extreme measure to helicopter someone out. But I get it.
Well, when you have somebody head injury and they fall to the ground like
totally
with no movement at first, then they got to treat it like that, and they have to be very extra careful. And
it just sounds
them on a helicopter is the easiest way to get them down to Roanoke.
Probably
it makes sense.
Yeah. So that happened today. We saw a lot of highlights of Deshaun, and I kind of want to get into Watson here. He had a nice touchdown pass to Cedric Tillman, and some other things.
Elijah Moore and to Amari Cooper.
Yes, and that
I've already seen all the videos.
Yeah. Well, by the way, yes, Steve really likes the videos. I know.
I
listened to your podcast the other day, and you talked about the videos.
The only football team news I get here are the Tennessee Titans, unless I go to social media and watch it myself. So that is when you live this far away from Cleveland,
right?
That is my lifeline. Is those
they're doing the kickoff again?
Kickoff again. Sam,
Houston scored a touchdown.
I was going to ask you again. I know we talked about this off air. Since we last spoke, Amari, or maybe we already talked about it. You were on our show last week, right, Sam? Was it what day did Amari sign the extension?
I'm not sure. I think
anyway.
It was after.
I wasn't on the show, but it was. I think
it was the day they were supposed to report. It was the day they were supposed to report. Yeah, because I just wrote an article kind of questioning is this Amari Cooper's last year or not?
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, he did the deal, and so that's good. And because I know we were kind of thinking that maybe there would be a connection with the CeeDee Lamb's deal in Dallas, which he still hasn't. There's no news on that, right, Sam? Not really.
It's getting weird because I feel like the NFL is drifting towards $250 million quarterbacks and $200 million wide receivers.
Well,
over the course of obviously a multi-year period, but I feel like there is going to be $500 million wrapped up in possibly just two players at this point with how expensive good quarterbacks and good wide receivers are getting. But I think there hasn't been much for CeeDee Lamb.
Jordan Love, the deal that Green Bay did. I'm sorry. I went off on a rant the other night on my own show because I'm sorry. The kid's had one good year, and I know he's sad and he watched, but people are going to watch film. Good teams are going to watch the film on him. He's going to go into his next year. I mean, maybe he has a great year again. I wouldn't be surprised, but I also think that teams will be prepared for him. And I don't know. I'm just that like you're saying. I mean, it's crazy the amount of money now.
Yeah, and I feel like CJ Stroud would also be getting that kind of money this year. I feel like if he could possibly,
he's a rookie. They're gonna sit on his contract for 5 years.
No,
they're gonna not up it.
What I mean is that if he was up for a contract right now, CJ Stroud, he would probably get the same amount of money Jordan Love would.
He will be in 4 years, and he'll probably get a big
4 years.
Yeah, and I feel like
could be $500 million
to have a good quarterback. They're just trying to get the chance at another Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes
and of the 10 quarterbacks, right? The guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but of the 10 of the top 10, I mean, nobody has won a Super Bowl. They've been to Joe Burrow's in that list. He's been to a Super Bowl. I think Patrick Mahomes now is out of that top 10, right?
Is he?
I'm pretty sure I read.
Yeah,
something.
he redoes his contract every year.
Yeah, he gets a new restructure to get a lot of money.
Okay.
So,
well, It's just
he got his first contract extension the same year that Deshaun Watson got his contract extension with the Texans.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, Watson's came right after Mahomes did. But Mahomes does what Brady did with New England and Tampa. He takes a pay cut every year to get more money for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's interesting too, because now that the Watson deal doesn't seem so bad from 2 years later. Here we are, two years
ninth.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
Lou. You and I, we talked about you wrote an article. I know Steve's written one, and then I wrote one that came out earlier today, and I had referenced this when you and I were on the show the other night, and I had written an article 2.5 years ago about the barriers or the roadblocks in front of Deshaun. And then this last week, Deshaun spoke, and he used a little bit of profanity, the BS terminology. And I know it caught people, some people, it pissed some people off, and others, it doesn't bother you.
Doesn't bother me. I've heard worse.
Right.
Doesn't bother me.
No.
He tells me he's not listening to all the people that are bothered by it.
He blocks them. He blocks them is what he does.
It's funny. Yeah. So it was funny because
segue.
I know. Your good friend Ed from Columbus, the dog chug. I shared this out, but the top 10 ways of getting blocked by Deshaun on Twitter or the X, because apparently Deshaun has somebody in who takes care of I'm sure his.
I don't think he's doing it himself.
He's got 1.2 million followers. So, no, I don't follow the guy. So I'm sure he didn't read my article, because if he did, he probably would have disowned me and blocked me by now too.
I think I do. I'll let you know. Go ahead.
No, it's just a funny, time period. I think the way I talked about it in my article is just, he's the biggest roadblock in my mind is, his health and maybe steering away from the terminology. I know it doesn't bother you guys, but I heard from other people that it really did. And you see comments and other people in social media land who were bothered by it. And I just think he's got a lot of pressure on himself already. And I hope that he can deliver this year. I certainly, I'll be rooting for him. And I think we're all we all think that he's going to have a successful year, but he's got to stay on the field.
Yeah, you just have to stay healthy. Yeah, you just have to do it on the field. That's what I put in my article about it too. So the comments didn't bother me. I just said, look, just win. Just shut up and win, and that's all you can do. I mean, that's it. The bet, because you're always going to have critics. You're always going to have people that don't like you. The best thing you can do is be successful and be happy, and that's it. And just be successful. Just go out there and do your thing.
Yeah,
because he's going to have haters regardless. So just do it.
Well, the thing everybody has to remember, traditionally, he is a slow starter during games. His first quarter numbers aren't the greatest, but his fourth quarter numbers are incredible. I mean, he's got like a QBR of like almost 130 in the fourth quarter. I mean, in the red zone, he is fantastic. I did a whole article about this, about getting Deshaun. Go back to Fans First Sports Network and find it. I broke down, yardage.
I read it.
It's just amazing how this guy, as the game goes on, gets better and better. So if you have a good defense, which the Browns do, I wish the beat writers would write a little bit more about the defense during training camp. It doesn't seem like we have one right now. He's going to be fine. All he's got to do is just stay healthy. That's it.
Yeah, stay healthy.
Stay healthy. And I think this new offense will. I think this new offense will do the ball. I've heard the ball during practices is getting out of his hands really, really fast. That's going to make a big difference. They're doing a lot of screens, which are basically long handoffs. I love that. I am a big screen fanatic. I love it. I've loved it ever since Lindy Afonte was the offensive coordinator who brought back the screen. And then after he left, they couldn't run one for 20 years. But I love it. It just destroys the defense. A defense can't pin all their players on a certain play. It catches them off guard, and if you do it, it wears out a defense, and then you start hammering them with the running game up the middle.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's I'm not worried about it. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, he'll play a little bit during the preseason.
I doubt he will.
I doubt he'll play the first game. Second game, they never play the starters because they scrimmage. Third game, I remember last year, the third game, he did start in Kansas City and played like most of the first quarter. Yeah. So I think it would help if he played a little bit in that third game out in Seattle. Unfortunately, I won't see it because it's at 10 o'clock at night.
That's right. While we're taking a nap, let's go ahead and pause for a quick break. We're going to give away some stuff after the break. We're also going to talk about a few other things that are going on at camp, including a conversation about one of your former coaches down in Tennessee, who's now with the Cleveland Browns. We'll be right back. We're back. Thanks for joining us here on the Fanatical Elfz Show. We're going to give away stuff here in a moment. I know you're all really excited. I do want to, well, I'll mention this in after a second here, but let's talk about this guy. He used to be a former coach of the Tennessee Titans. He's now
I'm glad you're bringing this up because I'm going to have an article to write an article about Mr. Vrabel as the X factor in this year's
team. I love it because actually I've been trying to collect some stuff too. We're all writing on the same stuff. So I couldn't think of Mike Vrabel's name. For God's sakes, I had my own podcast the other night and I was thinking about a bazillion things and I could not think Mike Vrabel. I was ashamed of myself.
I have an interesting fact about Mike Vrabel if you want to.
Okay, go for it. I want to talk about him with his team and some of the things that we've been highlighting.
You remember 1999? 1999, the Browns won one game going into Pittsburgh at Three River Stadium. Okay, there was a Hail Mary pass in New Orleans. They got blown out by Baltimore. The next
I was there. I remember it quite well.
Well, this game in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh destroyed us in the opener. It was like 42-0, 41-0, or something like that. So we go into Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh was talking. They're running their mouths. They're talking.
55-0, I think. Right? Was that the year? No, that was a different game. Okay,
different. 50. It was 41-0.
Oh, we beat them 55-0. That was back
51-0. 51-0 in '89. Okay, we pretty much there was an opportunity for Tim Couch to drive the team and kick a game-winning field goal. The very first play, he hits Darren Chiaverini for a 25-yard pass to midfield, and right after he threw the ball, he got decked in the mouth by a Pittsburgh linebacker. Okay, and then an additional 15 yards was put on. That put him right away. That put him in field goal range with like 45.
I know where you go with this.
Who that linebacker was that hit him?
Yep,
Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel. Yeah, and you want to know how I found that out? This random clip came up on my YouTube feed. And I'm like, oh, I remember this game. I'm going to watch this. It was like the last drive. It was the last drive of that game. Because I remember I went nuts when we beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. It was just like euphoric because there was 3 years we didn't have a team. I'm seeing all these Steeler fans walking around wearing their shit, running their mouths and all this stuff. We just beat them in Pittsburgh with an expansion team. And it was just kind of like Cordell Stewart threw 3 interceptions in that game. He played horrible.
Yeah. Yes.
And it was just like, oh my God, how did this happen? How did this happen? And that made my year. That just to see the team come back was great, but to beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, 2-14. Yeah. And actually that team on paper was worse than the 0-16 team. Mm-hmm. They were. They were. But we got competent quarterback play from Tim Couch because he was a rookie and he was in a bad situation. That's really he got beat up.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what happened. So but versus Deshaun Kaiser, who I don't know was lost in a phone booth. I just can't understand him. But anyway, that Mike Vrabel was the guy. It was just a boneheaded play on his part, completely boneheaded. But that was my little fact. So go ahead.
That's no, that's, yeah.
And before Dawson was going to kick the field goal, they didn't realize that they were going to get that close, and the clock's running down, and Dawson starts onto the field. He didn't have his helmet. He had to run back, grab his helmet, get onto the field, get set up to kick the winning field goal as the clock was running down.
And there's no timeouts for either team.
Yep.
Ball was snapped with 4 seconds left.
Yeah, 4 seconds.
That
he
was
forgot his helmet.
Oh shit, my helmet. They didn't expect to do it. They weren't expecting to drive down and do it. They weren't. It just within 2 plays, they were in field goal range, and then there was a quick draw play and another 10 yards. I'm like, we're going to kick this. We're going to win. It was a 40-yard field goal to end the game. Yeah,
it was astonishing. I tell you.
Yeah, that was that was one of the most memorable wins I can remember. Because even that Halloween game against the Saints when they caught that, it was unbelievable. But anyway, okay.
I was being heckled by Superdome fans right before that pass. We were all up in the upper deck section, and they would come up and go, you're not going to win a game. And then they all disappeared.
Yeah.
All right. So Mike Vrabel,
all right.
I mean, we know, like, I guess just you're going to, I mean, the X factor, like you're saying, he's doing so much, and he just seems very, he's a very animated sort of, electric kind of personality to begin with, hard nose, like you said, beating up. It's just really cool to see, and how it's all kind of, transitioning to what we expect to be a really great season. Obviously, next year he'll probably have a head coaching job somewhere.
Oh, I
wonder where he'll end up. You wonder what teams will have a new opening next
Falcons.
year. The Falcons.
They'll go 2.
Well, they just hired their coach.
It would be New England. He could end up with the Patriots.
How about Dallas? Can Mike McCarthy survive again?
Ooh, good point. Good point.
I think they were talking about. I think last year they were talking. Well, not last year technically, but the offseason, my radio people were talking a lot about bringing Vrabel in as the head coach if Mike McCarthy did end up getting fired.
Trying to think. The Washington just hired the coach.
Washington.
You know what? He could end up with the Jets. He could end up with the Jets.
Bingo.
Yes. He could end up
I read an article about coaches on the hot seat, and Robert Saleh is number 1.
Yep.
Saleh's number 1 to go
in that media market. Heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you been watching the videos of Aaron Rodgers interacting with his wide receiving crew? It's just been brutal.
I haven't seen it. He just spit out his water. Steve just
it's water. Lou, you'd be like, Sam, have you seen this stuff? Like
it's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy.
It is crazy.
It's crazy. I mean, these guys are like, well, they're pissed off because Aaron Rodgers is a knucklehead. He's not a good leader.
What happened? The one I saw, Garrett Wilson. Yeah. He's coming up to Garrett Wilson and said, "Hey, man, you should have zigged instead of zag right there." And Garrett Wilson looked at him and said, "Hey, man, you said you'd be here during training camp and you weren't," and walked away.
Was that on the Hard Knock? No. Was that on Hard Knocks or no? They're not.
No. Well, anyhow, it's just been funny to see all of that. It's just really something. I think I read somewhere, was it Elijah Moore or maybe some other player today? Tell me if you caught this. One of the Browns players, and for the life of me, I can't think of it today, mentioned just being with this team. So he must be a new player with the Browns this year, but he just talked. There's some quotes on the X somewhere that I read earlier today, just about, and this is good to where we were been talking about for a while now. Like Lou, you and I talked about this Monday night. Just the atmosphere, the feeling within the organization about how everyone is really pulling together. And this other teammate today was saying how their training camp is just very different than a lot of other training camps. You don't have a knucklehead like Aaron Rodgers in it who's trying to, causing ruckus, or you're not the Pittsburgh Squealers, having fights amongst your,
fights.
Because Russell Wilson is there, obviously, because he divides the team so badly. I know it wasn't Russell Wilson who was in. My understanding on that play was that Justin Fields got knocked down pretty
by
badly.
a defensive player, and the Steelers' offensive line got into a fight with the Steelers' defense.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know one of the Steelers receivers got into a fight with his receivers coach the first game.
Yeah, day one. Day one. I don't know if it was
I reached out.
I think it was the other one.
I think it was Pickens. I think it was
Yeah.
Pickens.
Oh, was it Pickens? Okay.
I think so. And I
what is that?
What is that? Is that you?
I don't know. I don't think it's me either.
That was weird.
Where
did that come from?
I'm like, where did the? I'm like, okay, yeah. I did reach out to the Steelers guy, Brian Davis, and I asked him about it, and he says, "Oh, it's overblown."
And
that's what he said, because it was like, if it was here and something like that happened, you'd be nonstop team coverage. You know.
Well, let's just go around the room. Before I give away these prizes, I wanted to get, and then we'll do some final takes here. But I know we're not making predictions right now, but Sam, I want to start with you. Within the division, we talk a lot about what Cleveland needs to do, lots of things, but one of them, the things we talk about, is winning this division. And we've kind of touched on this before, but after, the season, training camps have started, where do you see the Browns falling in the division? Can they win the division? Are they going to win the division? And who are you concerned about? Who are you not worried about? And are you worried about Joe Schmo with his M&M new white all blondie hairdo?
I don't know about him, but I wanted to, before I just want to be brief. My memory of what's the Tennessee coach who we picked up? I can't remember his name. Mike Vrabel. Is that season where the Bengals and the Rams were in the Super Bowl, and Tennessee was the 1 seed, and then the other NFC team in the 1 seed, and both teams lost their first game because Tennessee lost to the Bengals on a field goal, and then I don't remember who beat the 1 seed that time.
Yes,
but I don't know what Joe Burrow is doing. I have no idea what's going on with him. I don't know about him. He's confusing because I don't know how he's recovering from his wrist injury, because I think that's.
I haven't heard anything really.
Yeah, I haven't. I've heard that he is doing better, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what's going on with him. Lamar, you never know, but I think the Browns are going to win. I think it's going to be very close. I think all 4 teams are going to have more than 10 wins, because the Steelers always manage to at least be over 500. Sure. The Bengals still have a good team if Joe Burrow knows if he can get back to his stuff. The Ravens have consistently managed to make AFC championships and still have the 2-time MVP on their team. And then I think the Browns are going to be very competitive, but I think it's going to be one of the most intense divisions in the league right now. But I think it'll be probably Browns, Ravens, Bengals, Steelers in that order. But I think you could swap almost all those teams out except for the Steelers, and it would probably make sense.
Steve, what do you think?
I think they're going to win the division. That's it. I mean, you can't really go by what the national media says, because they're doing their lazy takes, because any one of these teams can finish first and any one of these teams can finish last. So they're just going to give a lazy take. You notice there's not a lot of video of Bengals training camp. I've seen maybe 2 throws by Burrow. One was way over the guy's head, and the other was a touchdown pass. I've seen no video from Baltimore. That's weird. Usually it's, all over the internet or social media. But you look at the 4 teams, and if you go top to bottom talent on the roster, the Browns have the best talent on the roster. I'm sorry.
Yes,
they do. I mean, when you're looking at a 53-man roster and you're discussing who's going to be the 6th wide receiver, who's going to be the 5th or 6th defensive tackle, who's going to be the 4th linebacker, and that's your list of your 53-man roster. Now, I know training camp isn't, you got preseason, so injuries could happen and all that other stuff. Knock on wood. I hope it doesn't affect anybody I like. But, you know, they've got the best roster in the AFC North. So we'll see what happens. Baltimore, I still think, lost too many pieces, coaching and players.
Yep.
Cincinnati's got a couple disgruntled players in there who are still disgruntled. And I have a philosophy: if teams fight in the preseason, they're going to be bad teams in the regular season.
Yeah, yeah.
Just quickly, Steve, you know why the national media isn't covering us? It's because their entire analytics team is trying to calculate the Cowboys cap situation for the 475th line. I've seen there's been about 400 different calculations of Dak, Micah, and CeeDee Lamb costs. It's insane.
And we appreciate the American.
That's funny. That's funny.
That is good.
That is really
very good.
I like that. I get to follow that. Awesome. All right, I'm going to give this. I did say this because I kind of looked at it and said, I did an article saying, I did an article that's still impending, but it said, what would be a successful season?
Yeah.
And I said, not just the playoffs. I said, win the division, AFC championship game. And
right.
That's what I think we're going to do.
Okay.
That's what I think. That's a successful season. We'd be like, all right, great. So I think I like the order that Sam gave.
Get to the division. I mean, win the AFC.
Win the division and get to the AFC championship game.
Sure. Yeah.
That's the last time we won the division was 1989. And that was the last time we've been to the AFC championship game.
Right.
And
yep.
So that, I mean, it just seems like those are like other boxes to check. I think this team is, we do have the best roster in the AFC North. Baltimore lost 3 starters on their offensive line.
Yep.
Yep.
They lost 3 starters on defense.
Yep.
The Steelers are trying to juggle quarterbacks right now. They're playing the quarterback carousel.
They have 2 rookies on their offensive line,
two
including their center.
Yep. So I mean, against our defensive line, the best in the NFL, which it's feast time. I love it. And then you got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and the quarterback controversies don't work. Okay,
right?
It's good for sports call and radio, but it's not good for your team. So that, and then the Bengals, you have T. Higgins that's not happy, Trey Hendrickson that's not happy, and Joe Burrow looks like he's going through a midlife crisis with his hair dye. So. And I really, like I said, I haven't seen any video about his wrist. I've heard that he's throwing. He's in camp. And he's throwing. I said, okay,
that's all I've heard.
Yeah. But a ligament on your throwing wrist, I mean, you can't be the same. That's different than.
Well, I don't think Lamar Jackson's been the same since he pooped his pants in Cleveland. But that's
well, yeah. I mean, Lamar Jackson. I mean, I think we can beat any team in the NFL.
I think so. Jarrell's
got a text from Jarrell.
Yeah. Hey, I want to give away winners tonight. This will be exciting for these people who are listening, or one person who's listening. I don't know if the other person's listening, but I have a special gift for this other person that they'll like. The winner of the hat. Everybody ready? Drum roll. This is a friend of the Fanatical Elfz, big time. Lou, you might know who this is because this person follows us a lot. He retweets, reposts a lot of your shows and such. And so I want to make our winner is Brian.
Oh, okay. I know.
Benner.
I'll probably butcher his name if I try to pronounce it. But
I know it's at Brian ASCH40. He's from Parma, Ohio.
Oh,
nice. And Brian does I every day when I look at our Fanatical Elfz X page, Brian is oftentimes congratulating us, saying, "Way to go, Elfz Network," posting wild and crazy GIFs and stuff. So congratulations, Brian. I will be in touch with you to see which hat you would like. You have the choice of Jarrell. And Jarrell, if you're watching us, we're giving away a couple of your hats from the dog food store. The other winner, Lou, Steve, and Sam, is going to be none other than your co-host, Sherry, Brown's fangirl. Sherry will be in touch. Lou, if you want to be in touch with her, let her know that she's the other winner.
Which hat did she win?
Well, we're gonna give Brian the choice, and then she'll.
Okay.
We can talk about that off air. She'll have a choice since you
We're gonna
probably
There's no loser in this situation. They're both great hats.
They're both great hats.
Yes.
We're going to be on tomorrow night, and I'll be sure to let her know. Yes, I'm texting her right now.
Awesome.
Yes, let her know that she's the winner and that Brian is the other winner, and that I'm going to give Brian an opportunity to let us know which hat he would like. And then we will be getting those in the mail to you. Sherry, we're going to send that into the mail to you as well. So congratulations. Sherry does an amazing job being your co-host on the Burning Browns talk show.
Burning River Browns talk.
And she's a great writer and just does a lot of things, loves Cleveland dearly. And a lot of people love Sherry. So
her response was, I did, with a question mark. I said, yes.
And tell her that Johnny Cleveland is talking her up big time right now, and that she has to listen to what I said about her. Because
by the way, I've been calling, you know how Joe Burrow looks like Slim Shady? I've started saying that's not Slim Shady, that's Slender Shadow.
Slender Shadow.
Sam,
you are just filled with I love having you on the show, Sam, just because you have this little element that you bring where you bring comments out of left field that are spot on, and it just it takes a half second for me to process because I'm old, but man, you're that's one of your strengths, Sam. I love it. And if
let me tell you something, Sam. I'm older than John, and that's how I'm going to refer to Joe Burrow from now on.
She's very happy. She went, sweet.
Slender Shadow. I love that. That's cool. That's great.
Slender Shadow.
I got to write that down. That's his new name.
Slim Shady.
Anytime I do a podcast and we're talking about Joe Burrow, it's going to be.
Lou, write that down so you don't forget. Okay, wait. So Slim Shady goes to Slender. Wait, what?
Slender Shadow.
Slender
Shadow. I love it.
All right, final takes. Let's go around the room, Lou. Final takes on tonight and the Brownies and everything.
It looks like Joe Burrow's so scared of Myles Garrett, it turned his hair white.
That's a good one too. I like that. Yeah.
No, I'm really glad. I think the thing is, I'm really glad Dante Foreman is okay. That's the important thing, and I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back at practice. And guys, I would expect an announcement very soon that we're building the dome in Brook Park. Mm-hmm. So.
And you got a show on tomorrow night with Sherry.
Tomorrow night with Sherry.
Mm-hmm. You have any special guests coming on the show?
I will have an interview with Steve's favorite person, Jack Duffin.
Yes.
Now we're going to talk. We're going to talk to him about just kind of like what he sees happening with contract situations. Because really, going into next year, just so you know, just give you a little preview. Jeremiah Wusu-Okoromoa, Amari Cooper, and Nick Chubb are the only players due to be free agents next year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of crazy. Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah, but then 2026 is a whole different story. So the window of opportunity, 2024, 2025.
I'm going to trust the Andrew Berry a little bit more now. I think that they'll be doing some more stuff between now and next year.
Yeah.
That 2026 isn't going to look so bad. I think.
No, it's not going to look. I think they're being flexible is what they're doing. Yeah. They're just going to see how
we love flexibility here on the Fanatical Elfz Network.
Yes,
the word of the night is flexibility and slender shade.
Shadow.
Slender shadow.
John, you better write it down.
I know.
I better write it down.
I don't have anything to write.
You got to write it down.
Here.
Steve.
Here you go. You need a post-it note? I got to post it.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Slender shadow. Okay. Yeah, put it on my head.
There you go. Okay, Steve, real quick. The only thing I'm hearing out of the Bengals is because they have started 0-2, both their last two previous season.
Yeah,
their genius head coach is going to play their starters more in the preseason. He wants to get them up and running, and that could be a disaster if you're a Bengals fan. And number two, something we didn't talk about. Tristan Wirfs of the Tampa Bay Bucks got a new contract. He is now the highest paid player or off left tackle in the NFL, $142 million.
Yeah.
That is going to be your benchmark if they want to re-sign Jedrick Wills. And just to make, like Sam was saying earlier about the money, Joe Thomas, Hall of Famer, his career earnings was $110 million.
Wow. The good thing about
Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay, I'll have my podcast Sunday, and like I said, I'm writing an article about Mike Vrabel. It should be out over the weekend. I'm gonna throw a little something in there that nobody's talked about yet with Mr. Vrabel.
Cool.
Looking forward to reading that.
I know Tristan Wirfs is in like Madden 22. He was like one of those people you could pick up who would just become like a 99 overall in like a season. So, but he's a really, really good player.
Yes.
I think
the Browns could have gotten him, right?
What?
The Browns could have drafted him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then again, the Browns could have drafted a lot of different people, but
yes,
of course, yeah. There's lots of opportunities that were missed.
I know the NFL does not want this, but I think that we could be looking at a Browns Lions Super Bowl. I feel like that's the highest chance ever. I feel like we've had to get a Browns Lions Super Bowl. And obviously the NFL doesn't want that because both are not big media. Both they want Chiefs 49ers.
Neither of those teams have been to a Super Bowl. That would be why that would
they want Chiefs Cowboys. That's what they really, really want, but it's not going to happen. But they really want Chiefs 49ers again. And then they obviously want Patrick Mahomes to win. They want Taylor Swift to exist or whatever. But I think this is the closest we're going to get to a Lions-Browns Super Bowl, which I think might not be nationally as big as some other Super Bowls, but I think in market it would be insane because both the Lions and the Browns have really, really diehard fans.
That's an interesting thought, Sam. I totally agree. The idea of it being overwhelmingly with our own local TV markets, it would be outrageous. But you bring up an interesting question. You know, what kind of draw? I mean, even though we're suggesting that it wouldn't be a big draw, but would it? Because you have two teams that have never won a Super Bowl. You have all these polarizing figures, including the X Factor, Mike Vrabel, who would still be with the team and probably at that point be locking up a job for next year when he replaces the New York Jets coach. So that would be the talk of New York City. Think about it. Browns and Lions in the Super Bowl. You have all that, you know, and Deshaun Watson. Who knows? Anyway,
honestly,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You go, Steve.
It may not be a ratings bonanza, but it would break the bank in Vegas. Are you kidding me? The city of Detroit and the city of Cleveland would run out of money betting on that bad boy.
Oh my gosh.
I think,
and it'll come down to Dan Cable going for a 2-point conversion after 2 5-yard.
Right.
Yeah, and then the offensive lineman's going to be called ineligible or something.
Something crazy.
Right, that's a good one, Sam. Yeah, that's right.
I think the national media or the NFL is going to want that Super Bowl because they want money. They want big names on the field. But I think a lot of people also just kind of want to see especially the Lions. I feel like the Lions have a more national media presence because of they've just been terrible and they could never figure something out. And I think their head coach is a psycho, but a good psycho. He's insane.
I like Dan Campbell.
Yeah, but I think it would just destroy Cleveland and Detroit. Everyone would just go crazy. But I think nationally it would be a more quiet Super Bowl.
Okay. I like it. Real quick.
A little breaking news. This affects out-of-town Browns fans who have Sunday ticket. A judge overturned the $4.7 billion verdict against the NFL, said it wasn't based on evidence and reasonable inferences. So that court case just got, I figured it would go into 2030. Now it's probably going to go into 2032. So don't anticipate getting your refunds, folks. Ain't going to happen.
I already spent the money. Jesus.
Oh, sorry, man. Ain't going to happen.
That's right. Folks, thanks again for joining us here on the Fanatical Elfz Network. Part of Fans First Sports. Download us, follow us on Apple, Spotify. That was Lou Marconi. That was Steve Gill. And that was Sam Britton. Thank you so much, guys. Take care and go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns. Go Browns. Go Browns.
Show. Part of the Elfz
never mind. Wait,
we are a bunch of wild and crazy Cleveland Browns
am I
fans.
talking to
Bring you all the
myself? Wait,
latest
what's that?
Browns news. Tune in
Hey, what?
now.
No, don't tune in.
No.
Go to bed now. Go to bed. See you all later.